Good afternoon. I want to welcome you to our combined work and regular session for the month of April. If you would, please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mrs. Fury, I believe we have some special recognitions tonight.
Yes, Madam Chair, we do. Good evening. Tonight, we have several elementary and middle school students in attendance who have earned recognition at the regional level. First, I'd like to recognize those students who won awards at the Griffin-Risa Regional Literacy Days competition. Students, when I call your name, please come forward to accept your certificate of recognition from our school board chair, Mrs. Shaquila Henderson Baker. Will Franklin. Will is a third grade student at Newton County Theme School, and he won first place in the third grade regional poetry recitation competition with his performance of the poem Sick. Congratulations, Will. Okay. Anthony Miller. Anthony is a fourth grade student at Hurd Mixon Elementary School, and he won second place honors at the regional poetry recitation competition with his performance of the poem, The Invitation. Congratulations, Anthony. Amaya Williams. Amaya is a seventh grade student at the Newton County Theme School, and she won second place honors in the regional poetry recitation competition with her performance of The Spider and the Fly, a Fable. Congratulations, Amaya. Aurora Gray. Aurora is an eighth grade student at Veterans Memorial Middle School, and she won third place honors at the Griffin-Risa Regional Poetry Recitation Competition with her performance of In Perfect Harmony. Congratulations, Aurora. Trip Swords. Tripp is a third grade student at Mansfield Elementary School, and he won first place honors at the Griffin-Risa Regional Ready Writing Competition. Congratulations, Tripp. Annalie Parker. Annalie is a sixth grade student at Veterans Memorial Middle School, and she won third place honors in the Griffin-Risa Regional Ready Writing Competition. Congratulations to Annalie. In addition to poetry recitation and ready writing, the Griffin-Risa Literacy Days competition also includes a drama contest. Two of our schools had winning performances. First, I'd like to recognize the members of the Mansfield Elementary School drama team for winning third place honors at the regional contest with their performance of Haste Makes Waste. Students, when I call your name, please come forward to accept your certificate of recognition. Levi Adams. Okay. Levi is a fifth grade student at Mansfield Elementary School, and congratulations to Levi. Aubrey Burton. Aubrey is a fifth grade student at Mansfield Elementary School. Congratulations, Aubrey. Alex Johnson. Alex is a fifth grade student at Mansfield Elementary School as well. Congratulations, Alex. Heidi Parrish. Heidi is a fifth grade student at Mansfield Elementary School. Congratulations, Heidi. Natalie Phillips. Natalie is a fifth grade student at Mansfield Elementary School. Congratulations, Natalie. Ian Pollard. Ian Pollard. Ian is a fifth grade student at Mansfield Elementary School as well. Congratulations, Ian. Veterans Memorial Middle School's drama team also performed well at the regional competition and earned second place honors for their performance of Because I'm A. Students, when I call your name, please come forward to accept your certificate of recognition. Alasia Boggin. Alasia is an 8th grade student at Veterans Memorial Middle School. Congratulations, Alasia. Did anybody back there? Did we miss any? Are y'all for recognition? So come on forward, please. See if you can find where you're.
Yes.
All right. That was Alasia Boggin. And now Jocelyn Kilgore. Jocelyn is an 8th grade student at Veterans Memorial Middle School. Congratulations, Jocelyn. Mackenzie Gale Redway. Mackenzie is an 8th grade student at Veterans Memorial Middle School. Congratulations, Mackenzie. We also had several students who recently won awards at the Griffin-Risa Regional Middle School Math Contest. The regional math contest includes a 1-hour written test followed by a group ciphering event. Over 150 students participated from almost 30 middle schools representing our region. I would like to ask Natalie Henderson from Veterans Memorial Middle School to come forward. Natalie is an 8th grade student at Veterans Memorial Middle School, and she won 3rd place overall in the individual performances at the regional math contest. Congratulations, Natalie. Next, the Newton County Theme Schools math team also brought home a 3rd place award in the Division I contest. Students, when I call your names, please come forward. Elizabeth Kelly. Elizabeth is an 8th grade student at the Newton County Theme School. Congratulations, Elizabeth. Haley Baker. Haley is an 8th grade student at the Newton County Theme School as well. Congratulations, Haley. Dakia Knights. Dakia is an 8th grade student at Newton County Theme School. Congratulations, Dakia. Aaliyah Murphy. Aaliyah is an 8th grade student at the Newton County Theme School. Congratulations, Aaliyah. Michaela Thrash. Michaela is an 8th grade student at the Newton County Theme School as well. Congratulations to Michaela. And we're going to take a step back and take a look at the Veterans Memorial Middle School's drama team and recognize Alasia Boggin. If you would come forward. She is an 8th grade student at Veterans Memorial Middle School and part of the drama team. Congratulations to you. I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate all of you one more time, and parents and family and extended family, if you would join me in congratulating our fantastic students for their performance. I'm always so proud when our kids go to these competitions and they really show up and show out, and you are a great example of hard work, dedication, and commitment, and I'm very, very proud of all of you. So thank you. Keep working hard. I know it's getting close to the end of the school year, but we're not there yet, so you've got to keep pushing forward. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank our school administrators who are here as well. If you're a school leader in one of our schools, if you just raise your hand up so we can acknowledge you, thank you so much for being here this evening and creating the conditions for our kids to do well and to excel. And thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules this evening to support your students. Mrs. Henderson Baker, that concludes our recognition this evening.
Thank you, Mrs. Fury. Would all the family members of the students that received recognition tonight please stand? So we want to recognize you and thank you for the support that you give your kids, and thank you for the support that you give our school system as well. So students, if you're seated and you receive recognition, turn around and give these folks a big round of applause. Okay, you may be seated. And students, again, we want to congratulate you guys on behalf of the Board of Education for your achievements. The fact that you are achieving so young, you're setting yourself up in the future to receive numerous amount of accolades and success. So with that being said, I know we have milestones going on this week. Depending on what grade you're in, you may have an EOC. And so if you want to continue to set yourself up success and would like to depart now to go study, you may do so at this time, if you would leave quietly. If you would like to stay, we would love to have you stay with us, but we do understand. So thank you again.
We just got to what house is here tonight?
Okay. So we'll go ahead and continue with the meeting. I do believe we have a group from Leadership Newton. So if those people from Leadership Newton would please raise their hands so we can recognize you guys. Thank you so much for being with us this evening. Okay, continuing with the agenda, public participation. Mrs. Guthrie, I don't think we have any. Okay, thank you. May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
It's been moved by Ms. Coggan. Is there a second?
Second.
Have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes, please?
So moved.
Okay. I'm going to do Mr. Turner as moving. Mr. Johnson, I heard your voice as well, so I'm going to do you as second if you guys are okay with that.
Great.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Superintendent's report.
Madam Chair, members of the board, good evening. A financial report, Newton County School System's East Block 4 distribution for February was $1,099,471, which is an increase of $12,853 from last month's collection. The average for the first 49 months of collections is $968,805. The title ad valorem collection for February was $40,129. And finally, expenditures are within budget at 71.27% of funds expended, with 75% of the year complete. And that completes the financial report.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Barr. Are there any questions for Dr. Barr under item A? Okay. Thank you. Mr. Roundtree?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I have the strategic plan report. I'm going to highlight just a few of the items on here. Under student achievement and success, 2 Newton County robotics teams received invitations to participate in the 2019 VEX Robotics World Championships and will be competing amongst the best in the world at the end of April. Liberty Middle School's team 10615B finished second at the Georgia State Championship to secure their invitation, while Alcovy's team, 265T, was invited based on their history of success over the last 2 seasons. This year will mark Liberty's 3rd year attending, and Alcovy will be the first high school from Newton County to participate at the World Championship level. Under High Quality Workforce, on March 5, 2019, the Human Resources Department conducted a certification information session at the board office in order to meet with employees who are interested in becoming certified to teach. The session served as an opportunity for us to grow our own, thus retaining employees who are interested in advancing their careers and eventually becoming teachers with NCSS. Under Culture, Climate, and Communication, on March 20th, 2019, the NCSS leadership team joined millions of other educators worldwide by being certified as Youth Mental Health First Aiders. Youth Mental Health First Aid helps one assist someone experiencing a mental health or substance use-related crisis. NCSS Project Aware has been offering this course to teachers, parents, and community members since 2015 in an effort to bring awareness and decrease stigma associated with mental health challenges and to accomplish the goal of training educators, first responders, and parents on how to attend to the needs of students or youth who may have mental health needs. And finally, under organizational and operational effectiveness, in March, select mechanics throughout the region competed in the Griffin Risa Technician Competition. The annual competitions are sponsored by the Georgia Association for Pupil Transportation. NCSS technician Josh Sechrist finished in 1st place. The competitions consist of a written test of technical skills and parts knowledge similar to automotive service excellence certification tests. 2 technicians from each RISA regional contest qualified to compete in the state competition in June. Pupil transportation administrators completed quarterly safety meetings with all employees. Topics included pre- and post-trip checks, Georgia Department of Education best practices, end-of-year procedures, and revisions to the Preventable Accident Program. And finally, National School Breakfast Week was celebrated March 4th through 8th. The theme was Start Your Engines with School Breakfast. It was designed to highlight the many benefits of starting the day with a healthy school breakfast. Regarding the enrollment report,
1 second, Mr.
I'm sorry.
Roundtree, for me. That's okay. You ready to go, aren't you?
I'm ready to go.
Do I have any questions under item B before we proceed to item C? Okay, thank you.
All right, then, this is the one I always forget, so I was really trying to get it in.
That's okay.
The NCSS enrollment report as of April 12, 2019, we had enrolled 19,717 students, and this year we have 27 more students than this time last year.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Roundtree. Any questions on the enrollment report? Okay, have a presentation. Dr. Barr?
Yes, ma'am. Tonight, we have with us Mr. James Wilson, CEO of Ed Planners. He's former superintendent of Fulton County Schools and Cobb County Schools, and he'll be working with Ms. Karen Cox, who's a former area superintendent in Fulton County. And they'll be presenting the findings from the efficiency and effectiveness study that's been going on, a comprehensive process that's been going on for several months now.
Okay,
And so
thank you.
I will turn it over to them.
What do I need to do? It takes care of itself. There we go. Phase is in. Madam Superintendent, Madam Chair, and board members, it's our pleasure to be with you tonight. Our company, Education Planners, and my colleague Karen Cox and I do a lot across the state in a variety of ways that support school districts, and we're very proud to continue to have the opportunity to do just that. Some of what we do is efficiency and effectiveness studies for school districts, and we have a process that we use that we believe is very effective. And first of all, we look at the methodology that we're going to use. We look for findings, and we provide you with recommendations. And obviously, at the end of our reports, we encourage questions that Karen will answer for you. It is an efficiency and effectiveness study. And in order to do that, you really do need to follow a process. And we believe very strongly in processes because a lot of this has to do with financial and methods and whatnot. So we're trained with the Baldrige education criteria for performance excellence. There's other types of trainings, but a lot of educators get trained in the Baldrige because it really looks at leadership and strategy and seeks for documentation and measurement and looks at our customers. But more than anything, and along with those, the workforce and the operations and the benefits that it provides, it teaches you to listen. So as we worked with the school district and the administration, we did a good job listening, or certainly tried to, because we wanted to hear from the superintendent's staff and many others what they felt about the school district and what we could learn from them before we started trying to look at recommendations for you. So we believe very strongly in doing these efficiency and effectiveness studies that we need to be good listeners.
Thank you, James. Members of the board and Superintendent Fury, it's our pleasure to be here. We've enjoyed our time here in Newton County Schools, and it's been fascinating to learn about this district. I told the superintendent early on, I actually feel like I've come back home because I graduated from Emory at Oxford many, many, many years ago. Your employees were very open, very willing to share with us. As we interviewed key central office staff, we focused on what is working, what makes employees proud to work in Newton County school systems, and where there are opportunities for improvement. Our conversations revealed a very strong commitment to the success of the district. The district's new strategic plan is providing a great focus for the work with specific goal areas, objectives, and action steps that drive the most important work of the district. It's also important to note that we found that the district has experienced improvements in its fiscal position due to an improved economy. This gives some flexibility around decision-making and payroll and improved services and support to the schools. The district has strong partnerships and grant-funded programs that benefit students and staff. And as we examined staffing patterns for budgets and budgets for central office departments, we see a need to hire additional key staff to better support your schools and to drive improvements in student achievement. Compared to similar districts, Newton's staffing ratio at the central level is low. We have recommendations for you to consider that can bring about needed changes and improvements in your outcomes. So in the next section, we're going to share our recommended changes for the district. We have the study recommendations organized over a 2-year period, and they are organized according to the categories from your strategic plan. First are recommendations in the student achievement and success area. We recommended replacement of your elementary curriculum director that was lost last year in the reorganization, and that has been done. You have hired a replacement for that position and are to be commended for making that addition to your team. To ensure alignment and cohesive implementation of your K-12 curriculum in all content areas, we believe the team needs additional curriculum specialists. Currently, there are math, language arts, and reading specialists to support curriculum in your schools. We recommend that you consider adding specialists in other content areas, such as social studies, science, fine arts, health and physical education. Currently, the district has one employee who manages all mandatory testing and assessment. both district-level assessments and those mandated by the state, along with all research and data analysis. There's a clear need for improved support with internal and external assessment requirements, data analysis, and support to schools by hiring additional staff in this area. So we are recommending a two-prong approach. First, add data assessment specialists to include internal and external assessment requirements, data analysis, and support to schools. And next, look at the location of those positions in the student achievement and success area. In the high-quality workforce area, we recommend that you look at the employee compensation in your district, and there's a salary study that's in progress for your district. We've heard from numerous employees as we listen carefully about the need to ensure comparable and equitable compensation to improve hiring and retention of the best employees. A salary study, as I mentioned, has been in progress and will be shared soon. There is evidence that the district lags behind other districts in the area, which can hurt your hiring and retention efforts. With the reorganization of the district leadership, the Title I coordinator position remains vacant. As you all know, this is a very large funding source for the district, and it comes with strict requirements and expectations from the federal government. A dedicated coordinator is recommended to ensure compliance and adherence to program requirements. And then, Mr. Wilson?
In your district, and we've done these studies from districts of 100,000 student population to 2,000 student population, and each one of them are different. And so we take a look at all of this in a way that makes it work for your district. And an example of this, and you're in the process of an RFP right now, and we again commend you for that. A district this size, and you're one of the larger school districts in the state and continuing to grow, you need a fully integrated financial software management program. It just helps you manage all of your business functions and your processes. So again, as we put at the bottom of this slide, this is in progress. And we were delighted to hear that it was already in the process way when we were brought in to do this study, because this is certainly something that we've recommended to large and small districts as a way of being more efficient and more effective with your finances and your business processes. So we commend you for this, and obviously we have it in our year one recommendations as well. In student achievement and success, we certainly believe that that professional learning department is important, and that we encourage you to always take a look at how you can help your staff become more professional and continue to learn. We're strong believers, of course, in continuous learning. You have a high-quality workforce, and you want to keep that. And what we have found in doing salary studies across the state, it has now become a little bit of a teacher shortage. So you are definitely competing. When I was doing these 5, 6, 7 years ago, it was just the opposite. There were plenty of teachers to fill positions. But as the economy has adjusted and improved, you certainly, as all districts around you, especially because you're in the outer edges of metro, you need to be in charge of recruiting and hiring, because you obviously want a very strong workforce. And adding a chief human resources officer to oversee all of the personnel work, short and long-term vision and strategy for hiring and retaining is so important to you. And you have a good district now, and you have a strong district, but you're also a growing district. So this is so important, and this is a recommendation that you'll find in most any salary study, any type of efficiency study. Try to recruit and retain. We also recommend to add a public relations position to expand the opportunities to share. as I got to know your superintendent more and more as we worked with her. She loves sharing the good things about your school district. So public relations is so important, and especially in public education, K-12 or pre-K-12. So we commend you for that, and we encourage you to take a look at that, even if it is in year 2. Of course, our recommendations, if we had our choice, we would put them all in year 1. But we also know that there's budget considerations, so it may take 2 years or 3 years. But regardless of that, we just have been really proud to be a part of you and learn so much that you're doing and doing well. As far as finance is concerned, a chief financial officer, because your district has a great financial department, but there's only one person in that department that has certification in finance. So that office needs additional staffing. We're budgeting and accounting, and we certainly believe a budget analyst is appropriate for your school district. And I end with this, and it's a little bit difficult because it's just a very simple slide. So I have to share with you that I use chief, but you could use assistant, associate, deputy. You could use all types of titles. But as school districts get large, and you're becoming a large to medium school district, it is important that the superintendent have an executive staff that reports to her so she can hold those departments accountable. And so we always recommend, especially for the larger growing districts, that you have that executive cabinet that supports her or supports the superintendent in a management process level. So that's really what this is. We created the titles because you have several of those now, but the titles are not as important as the fact that the departments need to be accountable to you as a board and to the superintendent. And that's what we tend to end with, is showing an example of an executive cabinet approach. And then we go to the questions that Karen's going to answer for you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wilson and Ms. Cox. At this time, does the board have any questions for our presenters? Mr. Bailey?
I have a lot of questions. I don't know if it's for presenters, but
That's fine. You have
Okay.
questions pertaining to this?
yeah, just the next steps, what we're gonna do with it. I'm sure that's coming later.
So I can try to answer that question. Of course, everything that you heard this evening, thank you so much for the hard work and dedication and focus and support along the way. You know, it's growing pains to try to think about adding people to our team. But of course, we've taken their recommendations and we'll begin to tease them out in a process that aligns with our budget. And then of course, you'll be able to weigh in, having seen the entire presentation, and we'll prioritize, because certainly it would be very expensive to put everything in place all at one time. So we'll be making some recommendations to the board through our budgeting process, and we'll be able to have some conversation with the team about those decisions. So it's in process.
Okay. Then for these guys, and thank you for the presentation and all the hard work leading to the presentation.
Thank you.
Just on, with other school systems, you said you've worked from 100,000 to 2,000. At what point, what student population point do you start seeing this executive cabinet? Like, if we have a 3-person cabinet now and we need to move to a 5-person cabinet, including the chief human resources officer and the chief financial officer, is that typical for 20,000, 25,000 students, or is that something, because it sounds bigger, but you guys are experts, so.
Well, I don't know if we're experts, but we've been around a while.
Well, I hope you're the experts.
But thanks for the compliment, yes. I work with a school district and have for 8 years now that's a 2,000 student school district. And in that school district, the executive cabinet is not the size that you saw there because they don't have the people. So the HR director is also the finance director. And so they do multitasking. But in doing with that school district, I recommend to that superintendent to have an executive cabinet. And so he starts with 3 people, and then he expands his circle. So they may not have the right, and that's the reason I kind of said you don't worry about too much of the titles. You just get the right people in the room so you can make sure that you are being accounted for. She or he has the accountability that their staff should be providing for him or her. And in this case, it really has worked for that superintendent. Like I said, I've been with the school district as a consultant for 8 years. He's been a superintendent there 3 years. And he's learned and grown because he surrounded himself with the good people that was there already and trained them in this process, and then he expanded that as he went. So I don't know that there's a magic number to your question, but I do know that you're one of the largest school districts in the state. And as you get to that point, you need to have accountability. And you just can't expect a superintendent to do it all. So that's why you create that executive cabinet. I have another school district that I work with very closely, and they're about your size. And I've been training them on how to create that executive cabinet, because they're all friends. They've all been in that school district when they started, when they were 21 or 22 years old. So they get along real well, but the district is not managed as well as it should be. So there's a training process that goes with that. Sometimes you do need to add positions, as we've indicated. But the size in many cases doesn't really matter, because in a large school district like yours or like the ones that I operated from, I wanted accountability because my board expected that from me. So it's just a management technique, process level. It's what these things come up with. A great question. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Probably the only thing I could add to that is you don't typically see a larger executive cabinet than 5 or 6 members.
Correct.
Mainly because the span of control for your superintendent, your chief officer, that's too big. And as, you know, with the superintendent having 5 chiefs, and then they all have their departments, and that accountability piece really works well. Chain of command up through those 5 really works really well. So I've seen districts with 20,000, 30,000 that have 5 chiefs, or assistant superintendents, whatever you might name them. Good question,
Yeah.
thank you.
I have a question, Madam Chair.
You go ahead. You already started, so go ahead.
As you mentioned, you work with several different other districts, and there are shortcomings when it comes to budgets. What are some options that we could do if we couldn't fill all these cabinets? Because I'm pretty sure, you know, there may be another option that, which chief's positions are more important than the other. All of them are important, but because there are some budget restraints.
And you specifically asked Karen Cox that question. Did I understand that right? It is, too, a great question, so thank you. And that's one of the reasons we put year 1, year 2 on there. We could have easily put year 1, year 2, year 3. Most any recommendations where it costs money should be phased in, because it can be a financial burden on a district if you try to do it all at once. I mean, that would be our love to recommend that. But that's the reason we put a phase in. We usually put year 2 or year 3 phase-ins. You can't do everything at once. All of them are important. Like I started with the Bainbridge, we believe in listening, and not just listening to hearing what they have to say, but learning what they have to say. Because it's easy to say, I need 5 more positions. So we try to do the accountability and really take a look at your finances and your processes to just see if it's all in real time. And we believe it is, or we wouldn't have put it in there. This is not something that I do so I can please someone. It is truly efficiency and effectiveness in managing your dollar. Let's hope we don't go through the economic downturn of 09 through 012 or 13 or however it is. But if we do again, you need to be able to survive that, just as you did a few years ago. And districts really struggled during those times. So to answer your question, we think we kind of put that in our presentation by doing a year 1, year 2 phase in, and obviously you may need to go to a year 3 budgetary constraints.
Madam
Thank
Chair,
you.
may I?
Yes.
Just to clarify, in terms of the size of the district, there are approximately 180 districts in the state, and we're about 20th in size. So we're right up there in the top number. But our process for adding staff usually is the recommendations of the directors. And so people are feeling the pressure because the work is becoming more intense and there's more of it, and there are more requirements and more federal government requirements, and then more state and requirements as well. And so in an effort to validate and to support their proposals, we halted just recommendations and contracted with an outside company to come in to say, let's look at the whole total picture and see what kinds of things would propel the district to the next level. And then it's really left up to us from that point forward, given this, the recommendations that you saw this evening, to lay them out into a plan that is manageable financially. But then, we may lay it out in a 5-year plan, but then year 3, something happens and the year 3 recommendations can't be made. And so those year 3 recommendations then are moved to the next year. And we just keep that as your beacon and your North Star, so that we're always looking back to that document to try to achieve, to make the work of our central office team as efficient as possible. So, that's why we'll take a look at all the recommendations and then try to build a plan that makes sense and then present it to you for your approval, given what you know about our budget and where we're headed with our budget. So it's just really nice to have an outside perspective that is a North Star that really looks at the internal operation of the central office, recognizing that we really are understaffed here and have been for a long time. That speaks to the greatness of the people we have in our district, because they are all hard-working people wearing 50 different hats all of the time. So,
And I'll say this, when you say undersized, I've been on the board for 9 years, and I know being on there for 9 years, and you two have been on there longer than Abigail and myself, but we've been understaffed for 9 years, because when we first came on the board, we cut back then. So, we've been understaffed since then. I do have a couple of questions, but I want to allow the rest of the board members to give your questions first before I ask mine.
Mine's just a quick, and this is maybe ignorance on my part, but the scope of this work was just for central services, not school-level administration or
Right.
teachers?
No,
Okay.
right now, just the central office.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay, I have a question. So how many total positions were you guys proposing? I was trying to calculate during the slides, but I lost count. So do you have that calculation? And then I also wanted to know, what was the breakdown per year of those numbers? Okay.
I'll put it together.
She'll
I'll
put it
take care of
together
that.
for
Yeah,
me.
I'll take care of
And then I had one final question, and the slide has already gone up, so if you still have it up on the computer. So I missed the part, I saw PEPAS and school counselors were being moved or recommended to go under another department, but what department was that?
Under student services.
Under student services?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I don't need it down.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And we can provide you all copies of the presentation as well.
Great.
Okay. I'm sorry, Mr. Johnson, do you have a question?
A comment. I don't know which one is important. I want to do one. In your study, have you found any methodology that we can use in making the functions that you are recommending accountable into a measurable index? For an example, a operation person may be responsible for, buses or vehicles. What are some of the key components that the other school districts are using and publishing that can be used as performance items? Do you recommend any of such thing?
Answer.
No, I'm going to answer. It was just a good question, and I had to think a second. So in talking Baldridge, I wrote a note or two, and I probably should have said that when I was talking about Baldridge. We kind of look at 3 common understandings. And one is, where are you now? What's your current condition? Where do you want to be? So where are you wanting to go? What's your target condition? And that's 2 of them. And then the third one is a little bit of both. How are you going to navigate to unclear territory between those to make sure you get where you want to be? So some of what I think you were asking is, how do we maneuver that and make it work? And that comes with what you already have, which is a good superintendent or a great superintendent or an even greater superintendent since we haven't been paid yet.
I was gonna stop you on number one.
But it does take, so as you follow those three common understandings, it does take the leadership to get you there. You have to know where you are, you have to know where you want to go, and then you have to figure out how you're going to navigate to get there, because it's not easy. And she was kind of saying that a minute ago, that we're going to deal with this, and it may take, in one budget year or another, we may not be able to. But what I really like that she said is that she was going to keep our document and go back and refer to that. And that's a real plus for us. If we've done our work, it's a usable document past tonight. So thank you.
One other comment.
If I may add one quick comment to your question, you also have a strategic plan that has measurable outcomes included in your strategic plan by each area, finance, student achievement, all of those areas. So those are public pieces that you as a board and the superintendent can certainly use as outcomes that are measurable.
In the real world, we have to deal with public understanding or public perception. When you add people to the staff, it takes on a different meaning as opposed to putting a teacher in the classroom, and we've still got to deal with the same budget. What do you do, or what do you say as a good measure? How do we deal with that?
Well, in the salary study that we're working on for you, you're going to see some recommendations that will relate to your teachers and your school staff. The efficiency studies that we do stay central focused. One, because of the magnitude of trying to do an efficiency study for all of your schools would be probably more than we could handle. But really, we try to stay on a process focus level. It's a finance, how do you spend your money, and how do you make it go as far as it can go? So to make sure, because one of the slides that we didn't have on here is the percentage of dollars in your budget that go to local schools compared to central office. And it's 90-something% this way and a very small percent the other way. So you are already pretty efficient. And in order to take care of the school folks, which I'm obviously an advocate of, you got to make sure you're efficient and effective centrally and in a position to support them. So the salary study is going to help you with some thoughts as far as taking care of all of your employees. But this is a study that was just limited in focus on purpose.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
One last thing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I know we spent a lot of time on this already, I'm sorry, but you asked three questions. You said our people were honest, and I'm glad for that.
Yeah.
But with that, the things that are working, and the last one was things that needs improvement, but that middle one of things that make them proud to work here, could you tell us a few of those things? Like, just, can we leave on that note? I would like that.
Yeah, we like
Is that
leaving on good notes. Go ahead.
Self-aggrandizement?
I didn't bring my notes, but I have multiple pages of notes
that's great.
that so many of your employees appreciated the leadership of the superintendent. They certainly appreciate the support they have from the school board. And I'm not saying that just because I'm in front of you. They like working here. They like the small town feel of the school system. Even though you are a fairly large district, they feel like it's home. They feel like it's a really strong community. They talk about how there are always strong recommendations about support for the schools, that the schools come first, and let's make sure we do whatever we have to do to meet the needs of the schools. From your east side to your west side, your north and your south, it doesn't matter, that all schools are a priority for your central office team. They feel very good about where they are as a district and where you're going with your strategic plan. So there are lots and lots of very nice commendations from your employees about working here.
Thanks for allowing us to end on a positive, good note. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Piggyback off of Mr. Bailey. I'm glad to hear that, because there's been several studies that shows that money is not oftentimes a motivator for employees. It's the condition that they work in, how they're dedicated they are according to their supervisors, and how they get along with them. So salaries and benefits, they are important, but the work environment is very important as well. But I appreciate you all
Yes,
sharing
heard
those
it loud and
positive
clear.
things with us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for allowing us to be with you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, Board. Okay, so we need to take an action on the superintendent's report. That's item A, B, and C. The presentation does not need any recommendation. So is there a motion for superintendent's report?
Make a motion to approve superintendent's report.
Okay, then motion by Ms. Coggan,
Second.
second by Mr. Turner. Any questions? All in favor? Okay, thank you. Old business, Mr. Roundtree. This item has sat on the board for 30 days.
The item before you, as Madam Chairwoman has said, has sat for 30 days. We put it out for public comment during that interim period. We did receive 2 comments, questions based on its placement on the system's website. Those questions were indeed answered by the superintendent directly, and we were able to satisfy the concerns that the constituents had at that particular time.
Okay, thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Roundtree. Very good. Okay,
So with that being said, we're ready for action.
okay, is there a motion for item A under old business?
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
okay, been moved by Ms. Coggins, second by Mr. Bailey. Questions? Having none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you, Mr. Roundtree.
Thank you.
New business, Mr. Berry, you're going to do A and B?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
The superintendent recommends the approval of the system portion of the 2019-2020 elementary student handbook. The system portion of the handbook has been reviewed during the past few weeks. In the attached document, additions have been noted in blue and deletions have been noted in red. In addition to minor typographical errors and changes to dates and times, these are some examples of some of the changes that are recommended. On page 3, of course, we update the school calendar. We'll have a Spanish version before we go to print. On page 20, updated health studies to include a new legislative requirement regarding Aaron's Law. Page 22, updated the principal's contact information. Page 31, we updated the safety section because there was a section in there that said the front door would be open in that particular handbook, and we put in that there's a buzz-in system now in place. On page 43, we added a rule to more clearly define the prohibition of vaping devices in our schools. The table of contents, the correct pagination, and school nutrition program information will be finalized upon approval and before going to print. This is the elementary handbook.
Okay, any questions on, excuse me, I'm sorry, let's move it forward first. Is there a motion for item A?
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
okay, been motioned by Mr. Bailey, second by Ms. Coggan. Okay, any questions? Having none, let's take action. All in favor? Okay, thank you.
Okay. Item 12B is requested board action relative to secondary handbook. The superintendent recommends the approval of the system portion of the 2019-2020 secondary student handbook. The system portion of the handbook has been reviewed during the past few weeks. In the attached document, additions have been noted in blue and deletions have been noted in red. In addition to minor typographical errors and changes to dates and times, these are examples of revisions that are recommended. The system calendar, once again, and the Spanish version will be added before print. Page 16, excuse me, updated principal's contact information. And page 32, again, the more specific definition of vaping devices. And page 46, for the secondary handbook, we've added, at the request of our secondary leaders, a rule related to hazing. Although some of the other rules in the handbook captured some of the behaviors within hazing, they wanted one that was more specific to hazing, which would be initiation type activities for extracurricular and co-curricular
Very good.
activities. So we are proposing to add a rule specifically related to hazing. Once again, the table of contents, the correct pagination, and school nutrition program information will be finalized upon approval and before going to print.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion for item B?
So moved.
Been moved by Ms. Coggan. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Bailey. Any questions for Mr. Berry? Having none, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, thank you, Mr. Berry. Dr. Barr? You're doing C and D?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
In item C, the superintendent recommends the annual renewable contract for an integrated business solution within the Transportation Department awarded to Genuine Parts Company, doing business as Napa Auto Parts of Atlanta, Georgia, be renewed for an additional contract period with an effective date of April 16, 2019, and an expiration date of April 25, 2020. The estimated contract value is $1,400,000. As background, this in-house store, which currently has an inventory valued at approximately $250,000, was custom tailored to the vehicles which constitute the system fleet. Important to note, parts are purchased only on a just-in-time, as-needed basis. The school system is utilizing a state of Georgia contract to provide the aforementioned services. All parts and supplies pricing is at a significant discounted rate, averaging approximately 12%. And there you have a chart which represents the ongoing cost analysis that the department does, which gives you a snapshot of some of the savings. In summary, the benefits from the utilization of this program eliminate carrying cost, inventory carrying cost. It reduces transaction expenses. It increases shop productivity. It eliminates obsolete stock and provides for an overall reduction in general expenditures. And this relates to Strategic Goal Area 4 and its FY19 budget, and upon approval, the FY20 General Fund. And that concludes item C.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Barr. Is there a motion for item C?
So moved.
Been moved by Ms. Coggan. Do I have a second, please?
Second.
Second by Mr. Bailey. Any questions for Dr. Barr?
Yes, I have.
Okay, Mr. Johnson?
I'm assuming this is part of the contract we signed last year,
That's correct, yes, sir.
and in that, that was a 10%, how can I put it, cost. If that was an amount of money that Napa had to earn, otherwise it would be a penalty add-on payment for the system. Is that still part of this?
I believe it's a 7% profit that they are guaranteed. If the profit margin goes above that, they send us a reimbursement check.
Have we experienced that reimbursement?
We have, yes.
Okay. Also, we had in there that if Napa don't stock the particular item that we're ordering, there's a 25% surcharge on the items. Is that part of this contract?
If it's a non-stock item, and I don't remember the percentage, but there is a higher percentage for non-stock items than stock items. But even in those situations, Napa can purchase those items more at a lesser rate than we're able to do that because of their buying power that they have,
But it's
that we
still-
simply don't have as a single school district.
But it's still a 25% cost on Napa's cost.
That's correct, yes.
And I remember the same question last year, and I'm still waiting. What is that cost that we're experiencing in the products that we're buying that are over 25, that's the 25% category?
Okay. I'll have to get that information for you, sir.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Having none, is there a let's take a vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, 4-1. Thank you. Item D.
In item D, the superintendent recommends the identified items be declared surplus and disposed of per board policy DO.
Okay, is there a motion for item D, please?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved by Ms. Coggins, second by Mr. Turner. Any questions? Having none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you, Dr. Barr.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
In item E, Madam Chair, if I may, Mr. Abdul Lindsay is going to be presenting that item. He's presenting for the first time. He's doing a really good job, and so I would like for him to be,
Dr.
to come back
Barr,
in the morning.
Dr.
and so-
Barr, I was going to give him recognition, thank
Okay,
you.
I just need him back. That's all.
Before you start with me, I had, Miss Fury, did I not? I had already wrote my notes. Mr. Lindsay, don't believe anything they say.
Okay.
The only thing you have going on wrong, is that a Georgia
It
pin?
looks really nice.
It is. I am an alumni. I'm sorry
That's
about
the
that.
only
Go
thing.
Dogs.
But I'm a mixed breed as well. I went to Florida State undergrad,
Oh,
so
even
between
worse.
the two, I'm a mutt.
Even worse, if
Yes.
it's not navy and orange, then
Oh,
have a seat.
okay.
Oh, no.
All right, so Mr. Lindsay, our new guy, thank you so much for
Yes.
joining us.
I'm happy to be here.
Very good. Okay, so you have item E and F.
Right, so the superintendent recommends the approval of a student lunch paid meal price increase for fiscal year 2020. I'd like to say this is targeting compliance with the federal government regarding the difference between the paid meals and the reimbursement we get for paid meals. So we haven't had an increase in 2 years. I think the last increase was 17-18. So we're recommending for this increase of 10 cents for elementary school and 10 cents for the secondary lunch area. So the final price will be $2 and $2.20 for paid meals.
Okay, thank you so much. Is there a motion for item E?
So moved.
Okay, moved by Ms. Coggins, second by Mr. Turner. Any questions?
Yeah, I just, may I?
Yes.
The first day on the job and you're gonna,
As for a paid meal,
school lunch?
yes.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, yeah.
Good luck. Good luck.
All right. Well, we haven't had one, and we're still competitive with the surrounding schools, yes. And the second recommendation
Oh,
for
wait,
this.
we got to vote on this one first.
okay.
So we got a
Thank
recommendation
you.
on the floor. I'm going to walk you
Yes,
through
ma'am.
it.
Okay,
We have a
thank you.
recommendation on the floor, so let's take a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay? All right, you can go ahead now.
Yes, so the second recommendation is for the superintendent to extend or to continue our contract with the state for the provision of bread products for the school district. So that's what we're recommending.
Okay. All right, is there a motion for item F?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Turner, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Coggin. Any questions? Gotta have bread.
That's right.
All right. All in
Appreciate that.
favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you very
Good
much.
job.
Mr. Roundtree,
Well, now, unlike Dr. Barr, I decided to give my new person grace this month so she can see how it runs. But I just told her next month is all hers. So I'm
be
going to
ready
do
for
this
you.
one, so pay close attention, Dr. Moses. The superintendent recommends the adoption of the Gallaudet Social Studies curriculum from Gallaudet International. The cost for the print and digital combo is $441,950. Background. The Georgia State Board of Education approved the K-12 Georgia Standards of Excellence for Social Studies in June 2016, with implementation effective for the 2017-18 school year. These standards represent a pronounced shift from the previous Georgia Performance Standards. While the Georgia Performance Standards expected students to identify, find, and relate, the Georgia Standards of Excellence expect students to obtain, evaluate, and communicate. Indeed, it now is expected that hands-on, student-centered, and inquiry-based approaches be the emphasis of social studies instruction. Importantly, the Gallaudet curriculum is 100% aligned and 100% correlated to the Georgia Standards of Excellence in Social Studies. The alignment and correlation are supported by the rigor needed to master the standards. Gallaudet uses a successful formula of small bites of information and then reinforces these bites with over 8 student activities per unit in the student workbook. Then there is the digital clickbook curriculum, which contains a variety of 14 interactive elements. Indeed, this combination of print and digital curriculum creates a more interactive learning experience in the classroom. Throughout the curriculum, one will find many ways students are being asked inquiry-based questions and being asked to utilize their cognitive skills. Some of the features of the purchase are consumable student workbooks, student workbook digital licenses, biography reading books, expert track assessment student licenses, clickbook student licenses, and myriad resources for teachers. The cost for the print and digital combo is $441,950. This expense is being paid with budgeted FY19 general fund dollars from Function 1000 Object 641 in the Division of Student Achievement and Success.
Thank you, Mr. Roundtree, for that detailed report. So we had the textbooks out on display as well for people to take a look at. So can I get a motion for item G, please?
So moved. Second.
Okay. Been moved by Ms. Coggins, second by Mr. Turner. Floor is open for discussion or questions.
Ma'am?
Mr. Bailey?
Is this, the textbook adoption has been, the time periods for 1, 3, 5 years? How long is the adoption, and then how long are we in this contract for?
I'm proposing the 3-year because that's what I have funds left for. And so we'll get the consumable materials for 3 years. They gave us a quote for 1 year, 3 year, and for 6 years. I was kind of hesitant to do the 6-year because things change sometimes so rapidly. And I felt, though, that since we've just implemented, that we would be good at least for the next 3 years.
Okay. And this is a we evaluate every 6 years. This is in the middle of that, right? Like the standards changed and we had to
Exactly.
adjust.
We had to, the standards change and the whole curriculum, as a matter of fact, if you like, I didn't want to bear you down with a whole bunch of information as it relates to the information, but I have here for you, if you would like, the crosswalk that compares the Georgia Performance Standards to Georgian Standards of Excellence, and it is not uncommon. For example, in Dr. Foster, I have her here, she's a social studies curriculum specialist for elementary, that in 3rd grade, it was completely wiped out. The old curriculum was completely wiped out, so we had no resources. And so teachers, they've been pulling, and they did very well with that, but we wanted to wait a year, even though we were supposed to implement last year. There were just not any resources out there yet. We wanted to give the textbook publishers time to get information, and so they have. But this crosswalk shows that there has been a significant shift in what we were doing before and what we're supposed to do now. And this resource matches that. It's 100% aligned.
Great.
Thank you, Mr. Roundtree. You were
welcome.
prepared. Okay, any other questions?
What's the comment of understanding? You said it's a 1 year, 2 year, and a 6 year.
They gave us a 1 year, they gave us 3 quotes, a 1 year quote, one for 3 years and one for 6. The longer we go out, the cheaper, it is, but the 6 year was a huge amount, and I didn't feel that I wanted to invest that amount of money, so we went with the 3 year. And so what will happen is if things are still the same, all we'll do then is come back before you and just ask for an extension. But for the next 3 years, if we do this purchase, for the next 3 years, we'll get all of the materials each year, and there won't be an additional cost.
Well, wouldn't we be being penalized if nothing changed? Now we have to go to the 6 year? We have to go?
Well, no, it's just the life of the purchase. We're not being penalized. Only penalty, if there is any, is the fact that the per unit cost is a little cheaper the further we go out. But we did some analysis, and at 3 years, we'll be really good.
Okay, I'll take your word for it, but that's not the experiences that I have.
Okay.
Because of the consumers, as the last book we had, it's, I don't know why we can't think of the name of it now. But we're unable to get the soft books. And they're not available. If they were available, we probably wouldn't be here today talking about this.
Well, this company is, it's been around for a while, and there just wasn't a bunch of items out there really to choose from. We had the gentleman to come to the principals meeting. He presented before the principals, and they all liked it. And then we extended an invitation to principals to then allow him to come and speak to their faculty. So we are pretty sure, especially since they gave us a 6-year quote, that they will still have the materials, then. A lot of it is, and we have a mixture, we have the student workbook, but really a lot of it is online. And the good thing about that is, because we're purchasing that part of the program, if there are any changes in update, it's time sensitive. We get it, right when they do it, because it's a digital resource.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Any more questions for Mr. Roundtree? Okay, having none, all in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you, Mr. Roundtree.
Thank you.
Item H, Ms. Ramsey.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Not as long-winded as Mr. Roundtree, so I'll make it fast. The superintendent recommends the approval of the attached purchase from News to You to provide online curriculum services to students with disabilities in accordance with their IEPs for the remainder of the 18-19 and then 19-20 school year. The district is responsible for obtaining, providing, or arranging for the provision of special education services as determined by the student's IEP. Students requiring an alternative curriculum and assessment will receive standards-based curriculum specifically designed so that students with special needs can access the general education curriculum. The News to You curriculum costs will be funded using FY19 IDEA federal funds.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Ramsey. May I have a motion for item H, please?
So moved.
Been moved by Mr. Bailey, second by Mr. Turner. Floor is open for discussion or questions. Do we have any? Okay, none. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Item I, Dr. Warfield.
Good evening.
Good evening.
The superintendent recommends the adoption of the following social studies textbook packages for secondary schools. Claremont Press for grades 6 through 8 social studies courses totaling $244,252.98. McGraw-Hill for American Government, World History, Economics, AP World History, and AP Economics totaling $709,482.08. Pearson for U.S. History, AP Human Geography, and AP Government totaling $143,807.68, and Bedford, Freeman, and Worth for AP Psychology, AP European History, totaling $24,752.67, and W.W. Norton for AP History, totaling $64,986.60. The total purchase is $1,187,282.01. Rationale, the Secondary Social Studies Textbook Adoption Committee recommended purchasing digital and print materials for several vendors for the 6-year adoption. Middle school representatives recommended Claremont Press for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade middle school social studies classes. The committee also recommended the following vendors for the high school courses: McGraw-Hill for American Government, World History, Economics, AP World History, and AP Economics, inclusive of micro and macroeconomics; Pearson for U.S. History, AP Human Geography, and AP Government; Bedford, Freeman, and Worth for AP Psychology, AP European History, and W.W. Norton for AP U.S. History. Please read below for a detailed description of each company. It is important to note that all packages include print as well as a digital platform for textbook resources for 6 years.
Okay.
Additionally, please see the attached chart for more detailed overview regarding pricing for course materials. The purchase amount for secondary social studies textbook adoption is $1,187,282.01, and this expense will be paid from budgeted FY19 general fund dollars from function 1000 object code 641.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Warfield. May I have a motion, please, for item I?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, been moved by Mrs. Coggins, second by Mr. Bailey. Floor is open for discussion or questions.
I have a comment. Ms. Warfield, can you assure us that after the 6 years, up to the 6 years, we'll be able to get printed material, printed soft books, that they're not going to discontinue them?
I don't think, well, I'm not the textbook company, but I do believe that we will be able to still have the print. Are you saying no printed materials? Wait a minute, let me make sure I understood.
You're right.
No printed materials and just
What he's
digital?
saying is that because we have the company is no longer producing the book that we use for mathematics, he's saying, are you sure we're going to have the materials? And so we have a 6-year contract, so.
We do have a security contract, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, having none. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, Dr. Warfield, you're still with us. Item J.
Yes, I'm still here. I'd like to say before I read
Just
this
noticed
one.
another secondary, I'm sorry.
Before I begin reading, as we reviewed documentation earlier, we noticed that there was a section that was not included in the initial information that we submitted to you all, and so I'd like to note that we've updated that information since. Recommendation, the superintendent recommends the adoption of the following math textbook packages for secondary schools. National Geographic Engage for grades 6 through 8 math courses, Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, AP Calculus, and Advanced Finite Mathematics, totaling